My Hebrew professor in seminary was kind of a young guy, and he told me that one evening he was reading Where the Wild Things Are to his daughter, and he decided that it would be fun to just start reading the text in Hebrew. So we got through a couple of pages when his little girl reached up, grabbed his mouth like that, and said, "Daddy, what is wrong with your mouth?" So back to English, at least for the time being. Sometimes, we try to share something familiar, but it is in incomprehensible language to our audience. I have been doing these devotionals for about a year now, and the intention was and has always been a way to connect with our congregation, those folks that have not been able to attend worship. But in the process of moving these videos from my Facebook page over to the church website, we had to click on the little category marked public, which has caused these things to kind of go out into the atmosphere. And it's been interesting over the months, some of the responses, both publicly and privately, that I have been getting. Questions and some great conversations. Some of this coming from people that I've known years ago, some from folks that I haven't really known at all, some from Christians, some from non-Christians. And so it has caused me to start thinking, as we move towards the other side of this pandemic, perhaps it makes sense to just continue on with these for a while, at least to carry that conversation on, hopefully in a comprehensible way. What is the gospel, and what does it mean today? Our church leaders are reading through a booklet by Tim Keller called How to Reach the West Again. Because for increasing numbers of people, including some of the conversations I've been having with others, Christianity is not only increasingly confusing, it is even seen as threatening or wrong. And that's actually something that the church has been dealing with from the very earliest days. So 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15 through 17, Peter writes, "In your hearts set apart Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to anyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect, keeping a clear conscience, so that those who speak maliciously against your good behavior in Christ may be ashamed of their slander. It is better, if it is God's will, to suffer for doing good than for doing evil." The Christian message, when it has been lived out by the church accurately and presented accurately, has always done two things. It has been attractive and it has been offensive at the same time. Attractive in the sense that as Christians love their enemies, as they serve their community, as they live out the life Jesus lived in their lives and ministries, there's something incredibly attractive about that, and there always has been. But it's also offensive because in each culture, to say that there is something wrong with us that only Jesus can fix has been threatening or offensive. And every culture has had different ways of answering it. It either, the government is the only thing that can save you, or lots of different gods, or I don't need saving at all. I'm simply awesome the way that I am. All of those things have caused Christians to be persecuted, and that's certainly true around the world today. Peter knows that if we present things in such a way where we're only attractive, that's a problem. Peter, because he was afraid of what a servant girl would think about him standing around a fire while Jesus was really on trial for his life. And Peter said, I don't even know this Jesus you're talking about. Out of fear for what others would think about him, he lost setting apart Christ as Lord, and he had no answer for the hope that he had in Jesus. And it was a devastating experience for him. When the church has sought to basically totally blend in with the culture, we lose the gospel. On the other hand, Peter also went the other way and was only offensive, because later on he stopped eating with Gentiles and only would hang out with his own kind. And sometimes the church is only offensive because actually, frankly, we are being obnoxious or defensive. And both of those things can get us into trouble. The gospel at its core, accurately presented, is incredibly valuable and also incredibly challenging. My hope is over the next few devotions we can dig into that a little bit more, and I'd love to hear from you, regardless of where you are with understanding Jesus Christ as Lord. This is a wonderful book. And inside this particular edition is a note from my Aunt Florence, who picked it up for me on my 3rd birthday. I found out actually that this thing is a first edition. And if it still had the dust cover and if I had never read it, it would be worth several $1,000s. The thing that really makes this valuable is the relationship that it represents, is the love that has been given and received over hearing this story over and over again. Let us share a gospel message that is far more valuable even than a first edition Maurice Sendak book. And even if we suffer for it, let us give that message away. God bless you today.